Hello and welcome back to the Wizards Arena Tech Your Deck Season 1 Episode 4 Red Cards. We're looking at budget cards and upgrades you can do to help tighten up your deck. The prices are based on TCG January 8th. First up we got Wheel of Fate. It's about $2. And it's only in about 3% of decks. Most people don't realize this card exists. Don't realize that this little red dot means it's a red card, since it has no mana cost. Only downside to this is it gives everybody 7 cards. You have to wait a few turns, but that's not a big deal. It's only 2 mana. Working on a budget, it's pretty cool. Next up, we have, survey says, Reforge the Soul. I love Reforge the Soul. I think it's a great card. I was surprised only 7% of decks are running it. $7, I didn't realize it was that much. It has really climbed. It's really great with Spellslinger. You can set it up to be Miracle of 2 or lots of scry effects like Crystal Ball, Seer's Lantern. And also spending 5 to draw 7 for red isn't too bad in mono red. I'll do that all day of the week. Goblins, dragons, sure, sound good. Next up we have Dictator of the Twin Gods. I like this over Furnace of Wrath because it has the word flash on it and it's less red intensive. You jamming in there when people are like, oh, well, we'll just take 20, no big deal, or 15, we'll live. You're like, take 30, you're dead. And I have extra combat steps coming. I'll swing into this guy, and he thought you guys would block more stuff, or, his board got crippled because my guys all have first strike, so you just murder him. It's the flash that makes this card great. I was surprised it's not even $1 and not even 5% of decks run it. Next up we have a card that me and a few of my friends scraped up all the copies we could when it first came out. Fiery Emancipation. This guy somehow is not, it's in 6% of decks and it's at 1150 and it's still climbing. And once people can play Commander in person, it's going to keep going up. Yeah, it might not be used that much in Standard, but triple red in Commander, nobody cares. It's like, yep, every red deck or heavy red deck plays this. It's amazing, and I'm surprised that the number of decks running it is so low. Mono red, goblins, red dragons, red giants. I just think there's a lot of decks that should be playing this. So next up, we got Impact Tremors. Colorless and a red to do 1 damage whenever a creature comes into play under your control. Yes, please, but it's a common. I don't care if it's a common. It's an amazing effect. With things like Krenko and the 5-color Warrior and any other effect that just makes lots of tokens like Secure the Waste if you're playing Boros. It's just really cool. It is $2.10, shockingly, and it's only in about 8% of decks. So it's in a little more decks than I usually talk about, but that's fine. We can play a little loose with our rules here. The upgrade to this, I feel, is Peripherals, God of the Forge. Now he is $14. Instead of doing 1 damage, he does 2, gives your whole team fire breathing, and eventually he could be a dude. Instead of costing 2 mana, he costs 4, and he's indestructible. But the big thing is he does 2. I run both him and the previous thing, Impact Tremors, in my decks. They're just so useful because it hit all your opponents. So like making goblin tokens take 3/3/3/3/3. Well, shoot, you're all dead. Then with like Dictator Dictator, the Twin Guards out, you all take 6/6/6. You know, it just gets out of hand real fast. Not so much a combo, more like synergy going on here. Next up, we got Star of Extinction. Well, this thing blows up the board and all the walkers, unless the walker has like 23 loyalty on it. That would be crazy. And you get to blow up things like Rogue Passage, Maze of Ith, the wannabe guy gets a cradle, any other land that you don't want to have to deal with out on the board. It's super good. Costs 7 mana. A little on the high side, but it does sweep the board without any prereqs. And it's actually not too bad. It's only $2. Next up, we have Chandras Ignition. Now, the reason I like this card is, yeah, it's almost $5 and 5% of decks run it, is the fact that you target your big thing with Chandras Ignition and you do damage equal to its power to each other creature and each opponent. So if I have like a 7/7 out and I cast this, I blow up probably, if not all the board, most of it, and I have a creature that's alive that's undamaged, so I can attack whoever I want. So having a board sweeper that lets you have a dude live, that's pretty cool. Plus, if you have like indestructible things out like gods or creatures with protection from red, that's really cool. Next up, we have the following card. Molten Echoes. Yeah, baby. So, for 2 and 2 red, comes into play, name a tribe. Whenever a non-token creature of the chosen type enters the battlefield under your control, create a token that's a copy of it, except it has haste. Exile it at the end of the next end step. Well, the cool thing about this is it even hits legendary creatures. So, like, I've cast Krenko, I get a copy of Krenko. In response, I can tap Krenko, put a bunch of goblins into play. If I have Swiftfoot Boots, boot up my surviving Krenko, make even more tokens. Crazy. It's only about $1. It's only about 2% decks. I feel like every red tribal deck should run this, because unlike most red enchantments, it's not overcost, costs a trillion mana. It's just 4 mana. Next up, we have Flame Shadow Conjuring. It's about $3 and it's about 3% of our decks. 3 in a red. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, pay a red. If you do, put a token on the copy. That's a copy of that creature. Gains haste, exile at end of turn. So basically, this one does the same thing Flame Shadow Conjuring. Not Conjuring. Molten Echoes did. Except you don't have to name a tribe. So if you're just playing good red creatures, this is yours. So you got one for tribal, and you got this one. That's about 3 times as much, money-wise, for non-tribal decks. All these cards are sweet. I love them both. I shove them all in decks here. Previous one of my tribal decks. These are my other red decks. I just love these effects. And then our bonus card for the day is Mana Geyser. What's this? A common again? Yes. Yes, it is. Okay, it's about $1.50 and only about 6% of decks run it. A way to look at this card is its Seething Song. It's turn 5. I can cast it. Okay. So let's think here. If everybody else has gone, and I'm the 5th, I'm playing my 5th mana, I haven't ramped, so this is the worst case scenario. I don't have any artifact mana. 1, 2, 3 opponents. Each of you have 3 tapped mana. Well, then it becomes 5 for 6, which is not really that good. But if we go, you all have 5 mana and you have 4, 4, 4, and I have like 2 artifacts out or 1, well then, you know, it costs 3 of our lands, 3 mana, 4, 5, okay, and you have 4, 8, 12, so we're making 5 into 12. Like, that's pretty good. And then we have a few more lands to play with. So late game, like turn 6 or 7, like just imagine turn 8. You know, 4, 4, 4. We've already done this before. 4, 8, 12. But they could have like 6 and 4 is 10 plus 5 is 15. Like, this can get to be monstrous. And then if you're playing like red blue and have turnabout and you can untap all your lands, or a dramatic reversal to untap all the artifacts you've tapped to help cast Mana Geyser, you can get some potentially gross amounts of mana floating through your pool, and then just do lots of stuff. Do like a wheel effect, draw a bunch of cards, drop a bunch of stuff, because that's the problem with wheel effects, is you cast them and you can't play your cards because you don't got enough mana. So that's why I like Mana Geyser a lot. So my name's been Tremors with the Wizards Arena, and this has been Tech You're Dead Season 1, Episode 4 Red. I hope to see you guys in Video 5 for Green. I started to think about multicolors, and what we'll do is break that up and have allied and then enemy colors. So it's just not 20 cards and you're not overwhelmed. If you like this video series, please like, share, and subscribe, and comment below. You can also follow us on the Facebook. I've already gotten a few ideas for another season coming up. And since so many people are liking these videos or watching these videos, I'm just going to keep going full tilt. But yeah, give me a shout if you like it, and have yourselves a great day.